Now, when you guys get your radiators, always make sure to go in and just double check that the fittings are tight. Sometimes these will be loose, just double check it. That way when you go to pour coolant in it, you're not gonna have a huge mess and all your money on the floor.
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. We kick things off by cooling down the Summit Bandit with a cold case radiator, dual fans, and a Dirty Dingo AC compressor, because performance needs to be kept cool. Then we circle back to Vic's Mustang with a bold move, pulling the 347 and dropping in a cammed out LS disguised as a Windsor. We follow that up with a deep dive into an LS Classics top-end disguise kit, fake distributor, Ford-style valve covers, and clean routing that'll fool even seasoned gearheads. And finally, we meet with Bob Douglas from Rod End Supply to check out some serious hardware. Race-ready rod ends and custom joints tough enough for the track or even SpaceX. This week, we tackle cooling and climate control on the Summit Bandit, installing a cold case radiator, dual electric fans, and a Dirty Dingo AC compressor. It's airflow, wiring, and smart fab work to keep things cool under pressure.
Moving along this week on our Summit Racing Bandit project, we're gonna attack the cooling system. I went to cold case, got me a complete radiator with the electronic fans and shroud. We're gonna install that, make a new radiator upper support because the fan shroud from the OEM is not gonna work. We're gonna do that. We're gonna put our new AC compressor from Dirty Dingo in. We're gonna adapt the old hoses to the new compressor, and then we're gonna wire up the relay for the fans. So this being a brand new engine from Bobby Bueller Engines, he took out all the plugs to clean all the galleys out. So Summit Racing makes a nice little kit to fill all the oil plugs in this case. So I've already taken care of that. Then I'm gonna go ahead and put on my AC compressor. This new compressor from Dirty Dingo has a 8-grid pulley. I got lucky. The high side hose goes right on, no problem. I got a high pressure fitting right here. I have a converted low pressure fitting right here that's been screwed into the old school R12 fitting. I don't like it. I'm gonna go ahead and put me a new hose end that's got the low side fitting already on it. I don't want to just go like this, that's too short. I want some movement. So I'm gonna make a line. That's my first cut. Second measurement, we're gonna take it, put it in the fitting. And because once you crimped it, you can't change the way the hose is or anything like that. This is gonna give me a nice loop, length. It's gonna give me access to my high pressure side. All right, we've got the AC compressor all installed, got the heater hoses done. Now we're gonna go on to the radiator. And with the Summit Racing, it got me a nice cold case unit. As you know, with Sam's Garage, they're the official radiator for what we wanna do. Because we got a 3-row complete aluminum core, and then we got 2 high power fans that's gonna give us all the airflow that we need. So before we install this into the car, I'm gonna go ahead and screw the fan shroud on to the radiator. So now what we're gonna do is put it in the vehicle. Now the vehicle had a huge fan shroud that helped in aiding securing the radiator in the core support. So we have to come up with something. We've got a 40 amp relay supplied by Cold Case. Because we're running dual fans, we're gonna run a 40 amp fuse. So what we're gonna do is take the heavy red wire, fuse to the battery positive. We're gonna put the 2 red fan wires together. We're gonna take our grounds and separate them and hook them up to the core support. In this case, I'm gonna run switched power for the relay. That way when the key is off, the relay is off. So we're gonna take this blue and white wire. One of them is gonna be 12 volt switch positive to turn on the relay, and the other one's gonna be ground control from the Edelbrock to switch on the fan. Now I can't tell you how many times I've used this paperclip trick, but the paperclip doesn't have continuity because there's a coating on it. So take this over to the bench grinder and just kind of grind off anything on the surface of it. That way you know there's no coatings. Go back to your voltmeter, confirm it works by doing the continuity test. Then you can go ahead and put it in there. It's a ground circuit from the computer. I went ahead and tested it, the fans work. The Summit Racing Bandit project is coming along really nice. That cold case radiator is nice and tight in there. So the last thing I have to do, the cold case system is completely in place. Everything is done except for the upper and lower hoses. So what I do is I take a hanger, cut the top off, take it, bend it, do whatever you have to do. Take that to the store with you, and then you'll be able to get the hoses you need. Those two hoses will also secure the radiator in place by keeping it forward and to the core support. Next week, we're going to be attacking the exhaust system.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Thought Vic's Mustang was done? Well, think again. We're pulling the 347 and dropping in a cammed out LS disguised to look like a classic Ford Windsor. It's bold, it's blasphemous, and it's built to roast tires for miles.
Just when you thought I was done with Vic's Mustang, as you can see, we've started a whole new project. Look behind me, I have a fastback. That one's a 65 or a 66. The fastbacks are becoming more and more rare every day. Now, if you remember Vic's Mustang, this gentleman just wanted to do some burnouts. So what I did was build him a 347 engine with an AODE transmission. Now, the 347 was supposedly having an issue with the rotating assembly. Unfortunately, once we got it installed and running at 2.5 RPM, we had a horrible vibration. Now that can be due to either the wrong harmonic balancer or the wrong flex plate. In this case, we've tried everything and we broke it down to the fact that the actual crankshaft is out of balance, needs to be taken out, sent off, completely redone, and put back in. That takes a lot of time. So instead, if you guys remember back in the day, it was very popular and sacrilegious to put a small block Chevy in an old school Ford hot rod. Well, that's what we're doing now. I've got me an LS 5.3, fully cammed out. As you can see, it's painted blue. I've got a couple tricks up my sleeve I'm gonna show you that's gonna make this thing look just like a Windsor small block Ford engine. You can use a lot of the Holley parts as far as engine swaps go. They got over 70 brands underneath their belt. So you need swap headers, they've got them. You need motor mounts, they've got them. They've got the intake manifold along with all the fuel injection you need to make your LS swap run. So when it comes to engine swaps, and as popular as they are today, Holley's got everything you need under their umbrella of brands to make that engine swap possible and make it last a long time. So in this case, what I did was a 5.3, I got a 4L60 behind it. The cool thing is that the sniper that was already on the 347 is just going to be removed and put right back onto the 5.3. I'm going to punch in some different answers to the questions and it should run no problem. Then I'm going to go ahead and hook up the computer for the transmission as well, and a 4L60 just works so much better than AODE. So the fact that we want to do burnouts in this car, I want to make sure that he's got a nice smooth running engine. It's going to last a very long time. It's going to give him good fuel economy, and it's going to do burnouts for as long as he wants. So like I said, we've got the engine in here. What I did was, because he's got a aftermarket custom K-frame, I was able to put the LS engine in, use brackets that were already in place in my toolbox. I cut the ears off. The width, height, and dimensions of the LS engine are very similar to a Ford Windsor engine. So I was able to place the engine in place, I put my ears in place, bolted them to the existing K-member, and then I welded the ears onto the motor mount plates. Pulled it back out, painted everything, put it back in. Same thing with the cross member for the transmission. I just took the factory transmission motor mount, modified it to fit the 4L60, and it works no problem. What I'm going to be doing next is completing this project with all the goodies on the outside to make it run and perform like it should. And I promise you that when you open the hood and you look under there, you're going to be scratching your head thinking, man, that looks just like a Ford Windsor, but that's got the characteristics of a GM LS engine, and that right there looks like a GM LS water pump. And I've been through a lot of car shows with the Lokar car show, and just over the years that I've been to car shows, I've never seen a Ford Windsor setup like this to look like an old school small block Ford in an LS application. And that's what we're gonna be doing with Vic's Mustang.
We went to our chemist and we said, we'd like to make this more effective, peppermint oil, what else can we do? So we play off the three senses, the touch, the feel, and the smell. And so the other ingredient is not noticeable by the nose, but it is a predatory scent. So they think there is a cat or something in the area. We think it's pretty effective. We did some independent laboratory testing and we ran the test twice. Like I did it the first time and I said, okay, let's try setting it up different. And this test is available, anyone wants to see it, I'll give you the whole test result. But in an industry where 70% is considered like, that's primo, the benchmark for making a successful product, my first test was 91%. Then I changed it and I got 92 and I said, how come when you get 100? And he goes, you're really at 100 when you're in the 90s. Hey, if you're gonna be out there rust proofing, it's an extra bonus. We actually now, we infuse all of our oils with mouse out. So if you buy the black, the clear, you're gonna get mouse out.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. We're making an LS look like a classic Windsor with a top-end disguise kit from LS Classics, a fake distributor, Ford-style valve covers, and some wire routing wizardry. It's a head-scratcher even for the sharpest Ford fan.
So the magic that makes this LS engine look just like a Windsor starts with an LS Classic top-end kit from Lokar Performance. We've got a value pan that they custom built in-house, made right here in America, CNC machine, comes with a breather. And then we have these factory off-the-shelf stamped steel Windsor Ford small block valve covers, which fit these very nice billet aluminum adapters that Lokar makes right here in America, and it accepts the factory valve cover gaskets, which is very nice. Comes with a fill cap on each cover. Then, to complement the rest of the kit, is gonna be this fake distributor. And this is where it all starts, right here. It's gonna go right through the front of the engine, where a small block Ford would be normally for the distributor. We're gonna run the wires through that. It's gonna look like this is running the ignition system. I'm even gonna hook up a vacuum line to it. All right, so when I mocked up the engine, I didn't put these valve covers on it. I had the billet ones on there. So my clearancing did not account for the brake master cylinder. But because these are dummy valve covers, I just made two little slots in the valve cover and I was able to clear the two retainers for the master cylinder. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna run our wires through this fake distributor. At Lokar, they have terminated the coil pack side. That takes an OEM termination. We'll terminate the other side, which is the spark plug side. The most important thing here is to mark your wires. When you're running it through, mark both ends, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so that you coincide with the coil pack so that when you fire up the car, you don't have a misfire. That's gonna get confusing really easily. They give you plenty of length. This looks like 10 feet, 0 resistance, very low, so you'll have no issues with a long wire like this. Just make sure you keep it away from anything that's metal or exhaust, depending on where you put it. So what you do is you're gonna run this through. Then what we're gonna do is make it all nice and neat, wrap them together, put them over the valley pan before I put the intake manifold on it. I've got the ignition coils right here on the frame rails. They're pretty low. Now, when you guys are doing your configuration as far as knowing what the firing order is, so what I did here on the driver's side is I put little dots on it. You got 5, 6, 7, 8, in the same manner as it would be on the valve cover. That way you're not gonna have a mishap on the firing order. It's very important that when you're running your ignition wires from the top to the bottom, that the label that you put on there corresponds with what coil pack you got. because then you don't have to chase your tail when you crank the car. So you can see the vision, right? When it comes to making your car look like an old school classic, Lokar Performance has it down. With that fake distributor, as you can see, I got it symmetrical. When you look at it and you're a Ford guy, you're like, why are the wires not messy? And you'll start to scratch your head. And Lokar Performance also does include a sub harness that extended in the LS Classic kit. This is long enough for you to be able to go down to where you need to go to and then come up here and hook up to the MSD ignition system. So I am one step closer to getting this engine swap done. Next week, we're going to tackle the intake manifold.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. This week, we're joined by Bob Douglas from Rod End Supply to check out race-ready rod ends, R-joints, and even SpaceX spec components. If it's custom, strong, and made in America, they've got it in stock.
All right, we got Bob Douglas back in the house from Rod End Supply. You know they make all the links needed for your race car and aftermarket custom application. Now, we got a lot of new parts, right? Show us some of the new items that you have at Rod End Supply, Bob.
Yeah, we've got a lot of a variety of parts that we stock. It's one of the things that we're now going to be working with in the off-road, but this is called the R-joint. There is a finale cup inside of it that this requires no lubrication. This is a totally stainless part. This is an 1.25 inch thread. This is a 3/4 thread. We also have this in a 1-inch thread. These inserts, which neck down the hole in the ball, will also be able to go from one unit to the next. This is an investment cast part. It's extremely sturdy, strong, and won't rust. So it's excellent for the off-road industry.
That's very nice. What about this monster?
There are very few companies that are able or can make large rod ends. Normally these are used in industrial applications. This is 11 pounds.
That's crazy.
Yes.
It's so
11 pounds.
cool.
But we now stock this size. And
What material is this?
that is 4130 chromoly steel.
Wow.
It has our 5200 hard chrome bearing steel ball, and we do have the injection molded nylon fiber race. This is extremely durable. Like I said, to my knowledge, we're the only company that has these in stock.
What else do we got?
For the circle track guys like to keep the weight down, especially on a rotating weight. We now are offering titanium bolts. This has the captivated washer, so we have them in black. We have them in the standard silver color, so to speak. This particular thread is a 5/16 18 thread, which is standard in bead locks for race cars. You can also use the same things to put the centers into wheels.
And when you have up to 32 bolts on one wheel alone, weight really matters, and this thing weighs nothing.
Yeah.
And it's durable, and you could reuse it many times.
Yes.
Now, what about this flat flange right there?
This is a part that customer and design, we make this special for them. And what this does is this goes on a shock tower for the Mustangs. This is stainless. This has the bearing in it. This one has a Teflon liner in it. And that's where your shock stud goes up through. This is a part that we made for SpaceX. And this has got a Monel body. It's got a high misalignment ball. It has the slot cut into threads because they don't put a jam nut on there. What they do is put a set screw in it. And that's what keeps it from rotating, going from one direction to another.
So if anybody wanted to custom make parts for their vehicle, they go right to the catalog, Rod End Supply, and they can find what they need.
Yes. We've got enough parts that we can kind of mix and match. Now when you get into the point that you want something special, that more than likely is going to be a minimum of 100 pieces, and depending on how complicated it is, it can be 1,000 pieces.
but they can call you and get it done if need be.
Yeah,
So a race team
send
needed
us-
something like that, they can do it. Well, there you go, guys. If you want to build something custom and you want rod ends, get them right here in America and have reliability, and they're going to be in stock. And you need anything custom, you can call Bob. They don't only make them, but they also race them. We'll see you next week when we install the new joints on the 68 Corvette.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. From cool running classics to cammed up swaps and race ready components, we brought the heat and kept it under control. The Bandit's cooler, Vic's car is meaner, and Rod End Supplies got the gear to back it all up. See you next time on Sam's Garage.